Okay, so we are finally here. Good afternoon, good evening, winners, wherever you are. I'm Angel, your A game expert, and I'm truly excited to be in front of you today. So I tested, I know last week we were attempting to do this webinar, and for whatever reason, it just would not work and had a few technical difficulties just a few minutes ago. Even though I tested, we're going to get started. We're here now for the three biggest reasons entrepreneurs get stuck in a rut. Now, there are many, many reasons that we all get stuck in a rut, but I'm only going to talk about three today. Now, remember, this truth or the words that I will share today is my truth. It may not necessarily be your truth, but it's definitely based on my life experiences, my observations, the studying of different things as well. And perhaps one thing, or maybe all things that I share with you today, that you glean something from it where you can actually apply it when you find yourself in this situation. Okay. So we're going to talk about the three biggest reasons entrepreneurs get stuck in a rut. You know how life seems to just show up and invite itself to your dinner table. Sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's not so positive. And that's why I really became determined and focused to help folks get their A game back. And I'll share a little bit about my story, but maybe a little bit later in the webinar just for time purposes. But what is your A game? People say, what is that? And that's your absolutely and unequivocally your personal best. Why? Because then you can reach your goals based on your vision and not your circumstances. So the very first, I'm going to go backwards. So the number three reason people get stuck in a rut is their thinking. I like to call it stinking thinking. You know, when you were a kid and you would hold your nose and you go, oh my God, so stinks. Your stink is that to the world around you. The questionable way you view and give value to the world around you, whether it's people, things, or ideas. Now, it's also known, I guess, in layman terms, the twisted mind syndrome. And I'm going to share a story with you. I think it's very relative. Now, it's a true story. This is something that happened in my family. I have many, many nieces and nephews, and I'm going to talk about one niece in particular. And her name, funny enough, is her name is Reality. And you'll see how that's a play on what I'm going to share in minutes. But she was in the car with my mother. She loves being with my mom in SUV. They were at the light. And she looks over and she sees a car pull up beside them. And she says, Grandma, look, it is a broken car. So my mom turned to look to see exactly what it was that she saw and realized it was a convertible. And she says, no, Reality, that's called a convertible. And she says, nah, Grandma, it's broken because I can see their heads. Now, this is so cool. I think it's such a great story. One is because it reminds you of being in the discovery phase, you know, discovering things you don't know. And of course, you know, it's her first time ever seeing that car. And, you know, you don't actually know how people see and view things, right? But for the purpose of today's training and talk, I think it's wonderful because in spite of what the truth is or was, that it was a convertible car, in her mind it was broken. And that's why I think it was such a great story to add on to stinking thinking, because it is the questionable way is around you. Now, why is it so important to understand the damages or how it can affect you by having stinking thinking, right? Because the ramifications of having stinking thinking, not really getting this concept, I think, can hinder you in what you're trying to do and your goals and things that you're reaching. Because when you look at things a certain way, be it true or not, it can cause you to act in the way that you see things, right? Just like with her talking about the convertible, as it being a broken car. So when I think of that, I think of the 4 levels of competence. And I'm going to bring that up because I think it's so valuable right now. So it's not just, you know, your belief, your mindset, how you're holding value to it, but some of the things, the first level of competence I want to talk about is called unconscious incompetence. And this is so great, right? Because this simply means that most people, and we all are in this level at some point, and it's okay to be here, but it's when you don't recognize there's a deficit. What's a better way of saying it is when you don't know that you don't know. Even more dangerous, there are people who don't know that they don't know that they don't know. But that's a whole nother conversation, and we won't get into that today. I try to not move so much because I see that the video is not doing its great. But unconscious incompetence, not knowing that you don't know, right? And scary place to be, because here, the length of time that you stay here can really it could delay where you're trying to get as far as your goals are concerned in any area of your life, right? And the only way to change the length of time that you're at this stage is the stimulus, how strong the stimulus is to learn, your desire to change your situation, right? And this is why this is so important, because sometimes we don't know that we don't know. And that's what keeps us stuck in that rut, because we're thinking one thing, not even to refer back to the story that I shared earlier with my niece, where she didn't even know that she didn't know. But she only was looking at how she saw it from where she was sitting in today's life. But because you're all here, maybe you're not at this stage, but you've been at this stage before. But either way, you have a desire, a burning desire to want to move to the next level, right? To get out of this situation. And so that stimuli there prompted you to be here, which will cause you to go from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. And this is even better, because now you know that you don't know, right? And so this is really cool, because even when it comes with your thinking, when the light bulb goes off and you realize, oh my gosh, I didn't know that the reason why I wasn't moving forward or moving faster than I'd like to was really because of me, that I was keeping myself in this position. It wasn't outside circumstances. It wasn't friends, families, neighbors, coworkers. It wasn't the economy. Wasn't my lack of experience or experience. Is really me, just the way that I was thinking, the way that I believe, the way that I see stuff. And so now you know that you don't know. And this is really great, because this is a great place to be for you to begin to make the necessary mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes, right? The necessary mistakes to move from where that will help you move from where you are to where you're looking to be, right? So I'm not going to spend a lot of energy and time today on the 4 stages of competence, but I wanted to spin through them, because knowing this, it allows you to determine where you are, even in your thinking pattern, right? So then you have conscious competence. That means that you know that you know. I mean, this is real easy. Some of the great examples are tying your shoe, or well, maybe that's not the one that I want to use. Let's say driving a car. You know how to do it. No, I probably should use that for another example. But conscious competence, I mean, it could even be now, like, I know that I'm stuck in a rut. I know it's been my thinking. I've been looking for ways to change it. Don't really know how to get to that point, but I know a lot of it's here. So you know that you know. And then you have unconscious competence. And this is sometimes a safe place to be and a not so safe place to be. And if I have time, I'll come back to that and talk about that. But unconscious competence is when you don't have to think about it. Now, that's when I really should use the example of tying your shoe, driving the car. You know what I mean, ladies? You driving the car and putting on makeup and combing your hair all at the same time, because you don't really have to think about it. But see, at conscious competence, you really have to be focused and consciously there to what you're doing, to the matter at hand. But when it's unconscious competence, you don't have to think about it at all. So those are the 4 stages of competence that also can affect our thinking. And it's so funny, because you've probably been around when you've seen people at level 1, the unconscious incompetence, where they just don't know that they don't know. And sometimes they are the the most frustrating people to be around, especially when you're in a team meeting or you're trying to accomplish something or get somewhere, and they just don't know that they don't know, and so they hinder, they block things. You know what? We do that to ourselves as well, and this is why this is so good to be open and vulnerable, to always be in a place of learning, to always be a student at all times. Um, in order to go forward, right? So this is good. So anyways, I'm going to move from there, because here's the thing: the first step to change is awareness, and you can't change anything unless you are aware of it. And so I want to talk in regards to when we think about our stinking thinking and how we can actually change things, is sometimes the things that we share and we tell ourselves, right? I can't do certain things because I don't have time. You know what? I don't really have the experience that I need, and so I'm not. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to go there. I don't have enough money, and so I'm going to have to wait until I start that project. I really want to go back to school, but I have my kids, and I'm on the bus, so I really don't know how it happened. I really would like to go to that networking event, because I know it would make my business a lot better if I meet some folks, but I'm a little shy and I don't really have the attire that I would like to wear to go to that event. See all the crazy things that we tell ourselves, right? I would go to the gym, but I feel uncomfortable, working around other people. Or I don't want to go take a fitness class because I don't really want to be like around a lot of people. Or, I think I want to lose some weight first before I start going to the gym and working out around other people. Just crazy things that we tell ourselves, right? That actually hinder us from moving forward. And so how are some ways that we can really look and see where we are and how we can stop some of the craziest things that we say to ourselves? Because we're past unconscious incompetence and we're at conscious incompetence, knowing that we don't know. So what are some ways that we may be hindering ourselves from getting to the next level? And so I want to have you all do what I call mind sweep. This is so great, because this allows you to sit down and take inventory of yourself, the things that you have been feeding to yourself. It's not necessarily what people are saying outside around you. And this is why I also like the quote, you probably heard it, that if I can conquer the inner me, then I can conquer any enemy, right? Because it's usually not the outside forces that make the first impact. Is usually what we're doing and saying to ourselves. Most of the time, the internal conversations that we're having with ourselves, if someone else had that same conversation with us, we probably wouldn't even hang out with them. We wouldn't invite them to be in our environment anymore. Wouldn't even be around them. And so we want to do an inspection of our internal conversations that we're having with ourselves. And that's why I like to do this very simple tool, which is called Mind Sweep. And so what I'll ask that you do now is take a blank piece of paper. I hope you had a pen and paper writing this stuff down, because maybe something I say today will be of help for you. But take a blank piece of paper, and then on one side, draw a line down. And on one side, what I like you to do is write down everything that you've been telling yourself on why you can't reach a certain goal, or why you can't have success as an entrepreneur, or in a relationship, or in your fitness world, or whatever area you're looking to get out of this rut. And you say, man, I really need to get myself moving, but you can't figure out why you haven't moved yet, for something as simple as ABC or 1, 2, 3. And really, it's more than likely, it's the story that you've been telling yourself. So what I'm going to ask that you do, and very quickly, and you can spend more time with this in your journal when later after this webinar, and you'll have time to go back and look at this information over and over again. That's the cool part about this, that they're recording it. So what I ask that you do is to sit down and write out a list of the things that you have been telling yourself. And once you write those things and be honest, because guess what? This is your list. This is your opportunity to move yourself from stinking thinking to success thinking, right? You want to begin to have wealth thoughts and not failure thoughts. And so the only way to do that is to recognize it. And that's why I said the first step to change is awareness. And some of us have become so comfortable at being uncomfortable, at even it's uncomfortable even for us to say the things that we say to ourselves that we would never repeat them out loud, but we've become comfortable with it. It's become our norm. You know, I want to, this actually helps me go into the second point. Second reason, second reason entrepreneurs get stuck in a rut. But I'm not going to go into that reason now. But what I want to share is that they say that we're the average of the 5 people that we hang around the most. But guess who we hang around the most? Us. We hang around ourselves the most. And so whose voice do we hear the most? Ours, right? And so the question is what is that internal conversation? What are you saying to yourself? Scarily, how often are you saying it to yourself? So the first thing I want you to do is get it out, put it on paper, and I want you to write it out. And then in this mind sweep, because we don't have time, and actually I can't see you, I don't know if you're doing it or not, but after you write down those items and things that you're saying to yourself, on the other side, I would ask that you replace it with something more positive. You know, I'm not pretty enough. I don't have enough money. I don't this, whatever those negative things you're feeding or saying to yourself. I want on the other side of that form is just to give me the other opposite, because, you know, it's a coin, right? You have positive, negative, pro and con, heads and tails, as we would say when we would have, you know, a quarter, a dime when you're playing the little game. Well, you can't have one without the other. So if you have that stinking thinking on one side, what I want you to put on the other side is wealth thinking, success thoughts, things that will help you move forward. And I want you to replace that. Now, it's not that because you're doing this mind sweep, it's going to be immediate, but because now you're aware, you can begin to make changes one step at a time and begin to have a different conversation with yourself, right? And then you can begin to change the way that you view and give value to the world around you. And then using my niece as the rest of a great plug-in, then you can begin to see the things around you as truly a convertible and not a broken vehicle. And so I'm also going to share one of my mantras I really love sharing. I'm going to ask that maybe you use it as well. It was very simple. Where I am today in my life is where my mind put me. Where I am today in my life is where my mind put me. But where I'm going is where my mind will put me. So today, I change my mind, I change my life. Yes, it's beautiful. So what are some other ways to replace some of the stinking thinking, things that we've been sharing with ourselves? And it's by actually positioning yourself to stop recycling old thoughts. How do you stop recycling old thoughts? You got to put new thoughts in. Put new thoughts in. It comes from the things you read, the things you listen to, and the people that you associate with. So right now we're talking about what you can do very right away with yourself, and that is reading. I mean, you need to look for people who have what you want. They're doing the things that you would like to do, and you like the positive lifestyle that they have. Find out some of the things that they're reading. Now, I can recommend many books, and I'll try to maybe even put some in the bio of the webinar. But if you are interested, you can also hit me up on our email blast. You can go to agameexpert.com. I'd be more than happy to recommend some books. Let me tell you, when I embarked on a personal development program and started adding good, positive information into my life on an everyday basis, everything began to change. I began to see things so differently. I got more in control of my emotions. I learned how to discipline my disappointments a whole lot faster. You know how some things happen not the way you expected or not the way you wanted, and man, you can linger on that thing for not just hours and days, but weeks and months at a time. And because of personal development, it has allowed me better in control of how I use my time, how how I function in my emotions, how quickly I respond to disappointments versus react. Oh my God, I used to react to so many different things, and now I don't do that. I've also begun to decipher if certain things are worth me spending so much energy on. Sometimes we expend so much energy on things that will not help us move forward, and that's another thing that keeps us stuck. But guess what? Because it's all here. It's usually nothing that is anyone saying or anything that's happening. Is truly how we're thinking. And you're going to continue to battle with this, because you're always going to have some type of stinking thinking as you continue to go through different levels in your business and your journey in life and the goals that you're looking to reach. So definitely the way to stop recycling old thoughts is to replace them with better things to help, grow your cognizant thinking, your reasoning skills, your judgment. And it's great. So a lot of great reading books, listening to great audios, attending events, and then changing or at least monitoring your associations, which leads me into the second reason that entrepreneurs get stuck in the rut. And that reason is not knowing your true crew. Not knowing your true crew. So, you know how I mentioned earlier that you're the average of the 5 people that you hang around, and you say, oh, well, yeah. So, when you think about the people, and you probably heard this statement where people say, show me your friends and I'll show you where you're going. You're with every day, and I'll show you who you are. I can tell you who you are. I can tell you in a snap of a finger. And you say, really, how are you able to do that? And it really is true, because you think about your associations. If you hang around people who swim, you'll probably start swimming. If you hang around people who the majority of the people are into fitness or eating healthy, you probably will become a little bit more cognizant of what you're putting in your mouth and how active you become. And eventually you'll probably join the game, because here's what's for sure is going to happen. You're either going to rise to their standards or they're going to lower to yours. And then depending on who you're associating with, if they enjoy the standard that they're at, I really doubt that they're going to lower down. But it's just like if you hang around people who curse all the time, the curse words are going to come out of your mouth. Hanging around people who smoke all the time, yeah, you might find yourself, might not always, but you may find yourself putting something to your lips. And this is why associations are so key. So your true crew is a person or persons that you're attached to based off feelings and affection, right? A group of people that you are connected to, I guess you can say, for or you work closely with for an intended purpose. It could be for good things. Like I have a great group of associations when it comes to working out. I have certain who I could talk to, who I can go to, become my workout buddies when I'm looking to take my fitness to a whole nother level, or when I want to have a certain conversation. I have a great friend and workout partner when it comes to one of my businesses. I know who I could talk to, I could be myself with. We write our goals down together, and we help each other stay accountable, right? So I know in different areas of life who my true crew is. Now, why is it so important to know who your true crew is? Because this support system can sink you or lift you. Why is it important to know? Because this support system, this group of folks that you call, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or more, can either sink you or lift you. See, we would never, ever let someone push us off the roof, right? Push us off the edge of anything. You're like, no, that's crazy. Why would I do something like that? But you know what? That when we don't monitor our associations, do you know that's actually what's happening? So when I say they are sink or lift you, if there's someone who are rising up to the next level and an area that you want to be, then because of their conversation, their actions, the way they view things, that's expressed through their words and their actions, will cause your vibrations to raise to a higher level. But it's the same as true if they're really not going anywhere, not trying to do anything positive, it can actually affect you, especially if you're looking to change some things in your life, in your business, or just in life in general. And that is the second reason entrepreneurs get stuck in a rut, is based on their associations, right? Who their true crew is. Because I'm going to tell you, the right crew stretches your vision. Why? Because winners like to see others win. But the wrong crew, they can choke your dreams. Right? I call those folks like frenemies. Like, they don't want to see you get too high up the ladder, let you, maybe drop too low. But it's almost like, what do they call it? Crabs in a bucket, where, they're reaching down and pulling you back. Your frenemies, they look like they are friends, but not necessarily, or at least they may not support you in the way and goals that you're looking to go. And so you want to determine who your true crew is. And sometimes I'm going to tell you, they really are not. And because we decided to look at them in a certain way, sometimes we even probably know deep down that the folks that we hang around the most aren't really the ones who are helping us stretch our vision and get to the next level, because they don't give us the support that we're looking for. Sometimes, remember earlier I talked about the stinking thinking. Sometimes the things that we think that we haven't voiced out loud, it's okay, because we hear it from some of the people that we hang around. And this is why I talked earlier about why you need to monitor, right? You need to monitor or change your associations. The challenge is sometimes we're comfortable around certain people, and it's a little bit uncomfortable to go and meet new people, especially people who are in an area that we feel we're not yet. And although it's the smartest place to be, because it's going to stretch us, as you remember, I talked to someone who's at a level we want to be is not going to lower down to a level that we don't want to be. Right? So we're either going to raise up to them, or they're going to lower to us, and they're not going to lower to us. So they'll make sure that we're no longer in their circle. And so how do you determine what your true crew looks like? How can you determine, and I came up with a quantifying way of saying, the folks around me are these people that I should, associate with all the time, folks that I need to limit my association with, or maybe even folks I need to disassociate with. Now, that disassociation can be temporary until you reach the goals that you're looking to reach, or maybe the disassociation needs to be permanent. And only you can judge that, okay? Because you know exactly where you are, and you know where you want to be. And that gap between where you are and where you want to be, you'll fill with very specific things to help you get there one step at a time. But just know that as you're starting to do that, that your crew really will make the biggest difference. And you need them to be true, so that as you're taking your steps forward, they're either behind you or beside you, cheering you on. They're running in front of you, making you stretch and push a little bit harder. They're running beside you, or again, they're behind you, pushing you forward, right? That's the crew that you want as you are to where you want to be. You definitely don't want the crew, because this crew is not true, telling you you're going too fast, you're crazy, those are things that you shouldn't do, that stuff never works for anyone, oh, you think you're better than everyone, all the kind of crazy things that the frenemies say to you when they make it seem like they just care for you, but really you're making them feel uncomfortable to do some things for yourself and change your life. So how do you determine how your true crew looks, or how you can either monitor it or change it? So here is what I like you to give. What I want you to do is, on another clean sheet of paper, is I want you to write down the top 5 or 10 people that you hang around the most. Okay, the top 5 or 10 people that you hang around the most. And then what I'd like you to do is, on that list, if you have people on the list that you're looking at, because there's different people for different things, right? I talked about that earlier. I have some friends that are kind of like my fitness crew, and then I have my friends that's like my business crew, and have my friends where I get a chance to talk about uplifting and personal development. So you got that crew. So what I want you to do is, I want you to put down 5s by all the people who are and your thoughts, your heart are better. And I don't mean better than you, but they're just in a situation that's a little bit better where you are. Maybe they're 5 times or 10 times ahead of you in their fitness life. And that's where you desire to be, right? Maybe in their finances or their business life, they're in an area that you would like to be that you're not there yet. Okay. Maybe in their relationships, or whether it's with their children, their spouse, or their significant other, or just people in general around them. And they're that ball of positive, joyful energy that you would like to be, but you just don't feel you're there yet. I want you to put a 5 by them. Okay. Then I want you to look at that same list, and I want you to put a 3 by the people who you feel are the same as you. These are people who maybe they're on the same wavelength. You guys can talk the same. Maybe they're running after goals the exact same way, or at least the same energy level that you are. Or yeah, so we'll keep it there. I want you to put 3s by them. Now, the ones are people who you feel like they're not quite where you are. You're ahead of them in certain areas, whether that's in your fitness, your relationships, your business life, your finances, whatever area you're looking to change. I want you to put a 1 by them. So don't want you to look at them as being below, but just put a 1. Maybe they're not as positive as you really like them to be. They're that person that you call when you're not feeling good and you need someone else to talk trash with. You can call that person, because they're not going to say anything to encourage you and take you further. They're just going to make you feel better about the stuff you're talking about right then. Put a 1 by them. And so what I want you to do is I want you to now look at that list and then count. How many 5s do you have? How many 3s? How many 1s? Now here's the thing. The 5s, you definitely want to associate with them, hopefully more than what you've been doing, whether it's several times a week, or every single day, or several times a month. You want to get in their environment, because why? Those are the folks who are going to take you from where you are to closer to where you want to be, or to where you want to be, because they're going to help you raise your standards. Now, here's the cool part about this. Everybody has 5, 3s, and 1s. Now, if you don't have any 5s on your list, your number one goal right now is to go get you some 5s. Who is someone that is in a place that you want to be, that's 5 times ahead of you, 10 times ahead of you, that maybe makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, so that you can stop being comfortable with being uncomfortable, but being uncomfortable or becoming better to get to the best part of you, right? To explode out of this quicksand or rut that we're talking about today. So if you don't have any 5s on your list, you need to go get some 5s. And how do you do that? You need to go to networking events, look at the people around you. You can't let pride or ego stand in the way, and you have got to reach out. You need to get in that environment, because you're in a position right now where you're recycling not only your own thoughts, but someone else's thoughts that's keeping you in that place. And that's pretty scary. Okay. So you've got to get some 5s in your life that are going to help you stretch you, pull you, and call doing by yourself. Okay. And then I want you to count the 3s in your life. Now, the 3s are like that flashing light. And what do I mean by that? Some 3s are okay because they're running with you to get close to that 5 as well. But then you have some 3s, they're stuck just like you, and you guys can have a similar conversation, but they're not doing anything to go forward. You may have to limit your associations with the 3s, right? Because you're looking for folks who is the 3 that's in pursuit of becoming that 5. And then just know, when you get that 5, you start all over, because you never arrive. That's a dangerous position to feel that you have arrived. So it doesn't matter the type of business that you're doing, whether you have a home business or you have a storefront business who is doing something a little bit better. They figured out a better system. A lot of skills done with their customers, their clients, or their team building side. Maybe you see that mother who has an amazing relationship with her children. They're very mannerable. They're excelling in the different things that they're doing in their life. Or maybe you see someone who has just a beautiful relationship with their significant other, and it's something that you desire to have as well, because to this point hasn't really been working for you. So you need to find someone who is the 5 if you have no 5s on your list, okay? And then the 3s, you want to make sure that that 3 that you're hanging around, the one that's the same, is demonstrating the desire and the goal to move past where they are, right? To become better. If not, you're going to have to limit that association. Why? Because that energy, those conversations that you're having is going to keep you stuck right where you are. And then those ones, now those you definitely need to disassociate with, whether it's temporarily or permanent. Why? Because they ain't going nowhere. They're not even trying to strive to get to a 3 or get to a 5. There's no way, right? So that's the person who is having a pull back conversation. Just right when you were feeling good, or you thought you were accomplishing something, or you were ahead of where you were yesterday, and no matter what the area is. I don't care if it's just starting to eat healthy all of a sudden, like, oh my God, today, I increased my water intake. I added green vegetables. If you eat meat, those who say I started to eat very lean today, had some lean protein, had green vegetables at every meal. I was drinking water. I replaced what do people have? Oh, I replaced my Coke or Pepsi with a glass of water instead, and I'm really excited. And they said, girl, that ain't gonna last. Would you like blah, blah, blah? And they offer you something when you just finished telling them that you were trying to move from where you are to get to another place in your life. So anyway, so those ones, you definitely want to count those up. And hopefully you don't have more 1s than 3s and 5s. And if you do, you already know, without me even having a deeper conversation, of why you are stuck in a rut. And that sometimes those are things that we can control without even realizing it, because we may love this person. Now, if that one is someone that you're sleeping with, your husband or your wife, okay, well, I don't want you to go get a divorce. I don't want you to say, I was watching that girl, Angel, the expert, and she said, I'm going to have to leave you alone. Now, you might have to come up with some other options, and that's a whole nother conversation. But what I am saying is that you want to position yourself to have more 5s on your list. And if you don't have any 5s, get you a 5. And definitely get you a 5 in every area that you're looking to increase. Make sure the 3s on your list are people who are striving to move past where they are as well. And then you really want to try to limit the time or eliminate the time that you're spending with the 1s, at least while you're going after your goals and the things that you desire to have in life. Okay. So those are some ways that you can look at your true crew, and if this is the crew that's going to help you get to where you're looking to go, so that you can get out of this rut. And then another assignment I give you is to, right? That'll help you strive after that 5. Okay. Meet someone new, position yourself to meet someone new. And then when you do, talk less and listen more. Because remember, you're looking to go from where you to where you want to be. And in doing that, you need to know if that person or persons is exactly where you want to be, or at least they're on that journey. So you want to talk less and listen more. And then make sure that you make time for relationship building, however much time that is that you put in place. Some of these folks are right around you. You'd be surprised the skill set and things that people have for some of the things you're looking to accomplish. They could be sitting right to your left or right at your place of employment. Maybe someone that's beside you at the gym on the treadmill or the elliptical machine. Could even be the person standing in front of you at the grocery store. You really don't know unless you open up yourself to find the crew that will be true to help you get to where you're looking to go, so that you can no longer be stuck, right? And then the final reason entrepreneurs, we talked about 3 biggest reasons entrepreneurs about stinking thinking, and we definitely want to change that from stinking thinking to wealth thoughts, not knowing their true crew. So we want to make sure that your crew is true, right? True to you. And then the last is lacking. What is that? That is the state or quality of being clear. Just being clear. When you're clear, or your focus is right, your perspective is right, things change. It's amazing how things change, right? I'm going to give you another great story, and you'll probably see if you continue to follow me, or even in this presentation alone, that I do enjoy stories. And this is the story of the blind man. So here's a blind man. He's sitting on the corner, and he has a sign up that says, "I'm blind, please help." And he has a jar sitting by him, and people walking by, and no one was putting money in the jar. And of course, he couldn't see it, but people were continuing to walk by him, not putting money in the jar. And it happened to be this young lady walks by, and she's a marketer by trade, by experience. And she leans over and she picks up his cardboard and she flips it over and she writes something down on the board and she puts it down and she walks away. And before you know it, oh my gosh, his jar began to be filled with money. Like almost every person that walked by began to put money into this jar. And so when the jar became overflowing, the next person that stepped up, he finally asked him, he says, "Excuse me, can you please tell me what the sign says?" And the gentleman says, "Well, the sign says it's a beautiful day. I can't see it, but you can." Folks, I'm telling you, when that changed, when that you said, what does that have to do with clarity or being clear? It allowed people to see things so differently when it changed everything for him, right? It didn't change his vision, he didn't he didn't clear up his blindness or anything like that, but the state or quality of being clear. I don't even know if that story actually went with that. So why is it so important to be clear on what it is that you want to do and where you want to go? Why? Because a confused mind does nothing. Let me tell you, I have been here so many times when I knew there was something that I wanted to do, but I was confused. I didn't know what to do. Should I do this? Okay, but if I do this, this might happen. If I do that, that might happen. But if I go over here, this may go this way. And if I go over there, this may go that way. And I was this big ball of emotions, He had no clue of what to do. And so guess what happened? I did nothing. Absolutely nothing. That didn't help my situation. It didn't make it better, right? It kept me exactly where I was. And this is why having or being clear on what it is that you're looking to accomplish, where you want to go, what you want to do, will help you move so much quicker and so much faster, right? Because a confused mind does nothing. It will keep you in the rut, or what I would call mental bondage. Not only that, it creates doubt. And we all know 1% doubt, you are totally out. It's over with. Forget about it. And so you definitely want to be clear, because once you become clear, it'll allow you to not drift, which we'll talk about and won't talk about in this webinar. It will allow you to make effective use of your time, and that everything you do will be very focused, it will be very intentional, and then the necessary activity will be in place. I like to call it FIA, focused intentional activity. But focused intentional activity only comes and shows up by having clarity. Right? So those are the three biggest reasons entrepreneurs get stuck in a rut. Number three, is their stinking thinking. Number two is not knowing or recognizing their true crew. And then the big ding is the lack of clarity, right? Knowing exactly what it is that you want, where you want to go, and what you want to do. And there are more ways things that we can do to help you become very clear on to accomplish. And so there it is. So like the blind man, his ultimate goal was to earn income because he knew he couldn't go work. And so the best way he could do it was sit out with the sign. But because it wasn't clearly written or defined, nothing was happening. But the moment it changed, even though someone else helped him, maybe that was that 5 that showed up in his life to help it become a little bit clear in his goal, things absolutely changed for him. So ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to have an opportunity to speak with you today. I am Angel Lily. My focus is to help you get your A game back, which is absolutely and unequivocally your personal best, so that you can reach your goals based on your vision and not your circumstances. So that is it, winners. Let's help you get your A game back one step at a time. Be blessed.